Bolduc Camp. Go buck wild for Pat Bolduc!
Keep it going for Tessa, everybody. One more time. That's great. And one more time for yourselves for being here. You guys are a fantastic crowd. Keep it going. It's good to be here back at Village Tap in Roscoe Village. I lived here for 2 years, and I love Roscoe Village, man. Make some noise for Roscoe, right? Pretty good. So many bars and restaurants, way more than most villages, you know? Like, way more. You go to some village in the Caucasus Mountain region, there's not as many bars, you know? It's not as many breweries. I had a friend call me up. I was living here lived here for 2 years, and my friend called me up. He always brags to me about where he's traveled, and he was doing like a documentary, and he's like, I'm living in this small village in Ukraine. And I was like, cool, I'm living in one on fucking Damon, all right? So, Damon and Addison down there. I don't know. People haven't been, I love Chicago. I've been living here for a couple years. My friend was talking to me on the phone, and he was like, man, I could never imagine living in Chicago. He's never been here. He said that to me twice in one phone conversation. I could never imagine living in Chicago. I was like, well, then you have a fucking terrible imagination, because imagination's a powerful thing. You could never imagine living in never in your wildest dreams. Imagine, you know, J.K. Rowling, who wrote the Harry Potter books. She imagined a world where there was like a prep school of wizards, and they all flew around on broomsticks, and they cast spells on each other, and there was a tree that would beat the shit out of you if you got too close to it. She can imagine all that. He can't imagine renting an apartment in the Midwest. That seems just a bit limited to me. He must have the most boring sex of all time, I would think. His girlfriend's like, what's the kinkiest thing you can possibly imagine? He's like, I don't know, moving to St. Louis? I'm not sure. Something like that. Something in that ballpark. For sure. He can't listen to John Lennon. You know, imagine there's no heaven. He's like, I'm trying to wrap my head around fucking Peoria. Okay, I can't do this. This is too much for me. I don't know if anybody has any New Year's resolutions. All of my friends are just going to quit drinking for like 3 days. That seems to be their... One of my friends in particular, he was like, I'm done drinking. That's my New Year's... For at least a year, I'm done drinking. That's my New Year's resolution. And I'm like, it's not really a New Year's resolution if it's court mandated. You know what I mean? That doesn't really count, you know? It's weird that you in the state of Illinois came up with the same... it's not a resolution. It's your second DUI. Okay, that's what that is. But people are drinking here. That's good. I like to see that. I, for some reason, always affiliate different beer with different age groups of people, like Old Style and Schlitz and beer like that. I always affiliate that with World War II era people. Because my grandfather was a World War II vet, and he only drank Schlitz his whole life. And I just feel like you're probably not going to find like a World War II veteran drinking like a Corona. You know what I mean? Corona's like, hey, find your beach. And he's like, hey, I did. It was called Normandy. All right, I'm not going back. I'm not going back. We lost some good men. Yeah. It was a big weekend for me. I live with roommates. It was a big weekend for me. Saw my roommate's penis for the first time. And, yeah. I'm not going to throw him under the bus. It wasn't big, but it also wasn't medium. You know what I mean? So whatever the third one is. Whatever the last natural progression of big, small, or, yeah. Pretty small. He was trying to get back in my good graces. I was going to 7-Eleven. He's like, could you pick me up some Magnum condoms? I was like, why? Are you making balloon animals? Why else would you need? Unless you wear your condoms the way Allen Iverson wears his sweatpants. I don't think you really need some baggy condoms on you, buddy. But I got a haircut recently. I went down to Sports Clips. It's the best barbershop in Chicago. It is. Sports Clips. It really is. Great deal. I went down to Sports Clips. They gave me a first-rate haircut, and it only cost me 15 push-ups. Isn't that awesome? You know what I mean? Most hair salons these days don't even accept push-ups. So that's... In fact, they get mad at you for doing them in exchange. And now I like that there's a woman who cuts hair right next to my place. She's very nice, very pleasant. She doesn't speak any English, so it's very tough for me to give her references for what I want as a haircut. You know what I mean? I had to learn how to say Guy Fieri in Spanish, and that was not... And I had to learn how to say, fuck, that was the wrong guy in Spanish. And then I had to learn how to say, sorry, I thought you spoke Spanish in Russian. And that was not an easy... Trying to be a better person, though. I like, for example, I used to sleep in a twin-size bed. And my girlfriend at the time was like, Pat, that is a bed for a child. And I was like, it's a twin-size bed. It's a bed for 2 childs, all right? That's why it's how twin-size beds work, okay? They're for 2 4-year-olds or 1 29-year-old, all right? That's how those... So I got pressured into buying a new bed. I don't need a salesman at Mattress Firm, though. Somebody was really trying to sell me hard there. I went up to the guy, I would like a full-size mattress, please. And he looked disgusted. He was like, he's a full-size mattress. He's like, dude, we have king-size mattresses. He's like, what, you don't want to feel like a king? Silly quiet. I was like, no, sir, I'm a normal human being, okay? I don't need to feel like a king. Okay, I need a bed that's big enough for just me and the guy who feeds me grapes, all right? That's all I need. That's all I need. Okay? I'm not Jeff Bezos here, sir, all right? I'm Jeff Bezos' son, so that's cool. Did I mention that up top? Yeah, the richest guy in the world's son, but that's a good one. My girlfriend, she was very pleased when I got a new bed. This was the next. I don't know if you guys are here, seem like a progressive crowd. Anybody here into sex toys? If you're with your family, you don't need to respond. I understand. Stop pointing her out. It's getting weird. All right. I don't know. My ex-girlfriend was really into vibrators. That was her. She loved vibrators, and I think that's great. I love vibrators. I got to be honest. Every time she would use one during sex to, reach climax, I always felt like a guy who just got laid off from a factory. You know what I mean? They're like, sorry, buddy, we got machines that do this now. I don't know what to tell you. You should probably teach your penis to code, because otherwise there's not a lot of a ton of jobs here for you in the modern economy. My problem with sex toys is like they're never real toys. They're never fun. I want like a G.I. Joe that will eat my ass. Something like that. That'd be cool. That'd be fun. You know what I mean? Maybe a Rubik's Cube that cares how my day went. Would that be too much? I've compared myself to some people. That can be a little bit depressing occasionally. You compare and despair. You compare yourself to maybe people who have accomplished more than you at a similar age. That can get depressing. I was doing some research earlier today. You know that guy Pete Buttigieg running for president? When he was 29 years old, he became the first openly gay mayor of South Bend, Indiana. Isn't that amazing? I'm 29 right now, and I'm not even gay yet. What am I doing with my life? What the hell am I doing with my life? One by one, all of my friends from high school become gay and then immediately become the mayor of South Bend, Indiana. And I just feel like I'm left behind here. Still haven't learned how to talk to cops, even though I kind of look like one, but I haven't learned how to... I got pulled over by a cop the other day because I did a U-turn in front of him. I didn't realize that was as big of a crime as I thought it was. The cop screamed in my face for doing a U-turn in front of him. He said to me, you know what you just did is extremely illegal, and I'm not a scholar here, but I was like, if U-turns are extremely illegal, then what is like murder? What is that? Where do you go? Haven't you kind of used up all your words here on U-turns? How would he describe a triple homicide? You know what I mean? He walks up and there's 3 people laying there dead, and he's like, oh my God, this is super duper illegal. I've never seen anything like this. This is like 10 U-turns. This is amazing. And I'm not trying to shit on cops. I know there's a lot of good cops out there. There are. They're called firefighters. They're nice people. They're nice guys. I don't care if you smell like weed. As long as you're vaping, that's a big... All right, that's it. Thanks. Have a good one.
Hey, Camp, keep it going for Pat Bolduc. Let him hear